Hello, this is Heather Hoffman, and I'm here today with my first card using the May 2021 Kit of the Month from Unity Stamp Company. I'm doing kind of a fun Copic coloring technique. I wanted to go with some really bright summery colors, so I've got 2 tones of blue and 2 tones of orange. I'm using a cloud stencil. You could also freehand this or cut your own stencil, something simple, just kind of a wave design effect, and clouds and waves are quite similar. So I'm going to go ahead and pick one side of that and tape it in place. I'm purposely kind of choosing an angle instead of making it straight, and I'm using a little bit of Post-it tape just to hold it flat and in place. And I'm just going to use this as a guideline for my coloring. So I'm going to start off first with my darker blue color. That one is BG05. I left the lid sitting there, and I'm kind of zoomed in so you can see, but I'm just going to follow that outline going around the flip-flops. I'm coloring the outside, and then on that line in between, just using the line of the stencil as something to kind of follow as a guideline. All right, I kind of sped it up a little bit there and finished coloring that part. And then I'm going to move on to my orange. I started off here, actually, I used the wrong orange. I meant to use my darker orange. I start off here with Y38, but I'm going to skip ahead a little here when I noticed I'd already finished, but I went ahead and just went over it again with the darker. It worked just fine. You can't tell that the lighter's underneath, and made the problem solved nice and easy. All right, now you can see that first layer. I'm pulling that stencil off. Now, to make sure I don't smear anything, I like to clean my stencils with a bit of rubbing alcohol and a microfiber cloth. I've just found it works really well. It also dries really quick. So cleaning your stencils like this, because the Copics are an alcohol ink, the rubbing alcohol works really well to clean those off, as well as it does for dye inks and stuff like that. All right, so I kind of picked another spot to place that, and I'm going to repeat the same process, but for that center section, I'm using my lighter blue first, which is B01, and I'm just using, again, that mark along the stencil as my guideline to start, coloring up the sides, and then just coloring right up to that line marked from the darker color. And then I'm going to come in properly now with that Y38 and do the same thing on those little flip-flops there, following the line and just meeting them together where it touches that darker color. All right, we're going to peel that stencil off one more time. And for the final line there, I actually don't need the stencil. I just want a straight line along the bottom, kind of like I have on the top. So I'm just going to use the straight edge. This is just a scrap of cardstock, actually from where I cut that panel out of. So I use that just to, I also can very easily use a ruler. I thought of that after the fact, but at the time my brain was thinking stencil. So you can also use a ruler to do the same thing, but I just created that line, and now I have that as my guideline to work with, and I can just color up from there. Again, meet it along that other line of the other color, and then just color around and all the way over. And then same thing, repeat on the bottom with that darker color again, which is the YR16. I don't remember if I said that before. I tried to leave the lid sitting there so you could kind of see what color I was using, but it's so hard to remember to do that. I often just hold those in my hands. So, all right, finish that last little bit off. And then once I was done with that, I wanted to go ahead and add a touch of sparkle onto these flip-flops. So you can kind of see that graphic design effect there. But I pulled out a few white, these are just white jewels, and I'm gonna put a couple of small ones on the 2 outer sets of the flip-flops, and then medium size on the 2 flip-flops in the center. It just gives a little variation in size, and then I can just adhere those in place kind of at the points of the flip-flops. All right, a little foam adhesive on the back there, and then adhere that onto my white top folding card base. And at this point, I was kind of thinking my design was done as it sat there on my desk for a few more minutes, and I kept looking at it. I kind of had another idea, and I really like what it added to it. So I pulled out a white gel pen. This is a Signo, just a white, whatever your favorite white gel pen. And I went along all the deep blue edges there, along those wave marks, and added just kind of some different size white dots. And I think what that did, at least in my mind, is it added, if you think of water, it kind of added like that sea salt spray kind of effect, and just added a little more of a realistic texture to it. And I thought it was a fun addition. And that finishes off our nice simple card today. Thanks so much for coming by today. Have a wonderful day.